Hello and welcome to the second part of our Strapi tutorials. In this video, I will cover how to 1. Use the collection type we created in our previous video to add new entries to our API. Then set roles and permissions. And third, we'll see how to publish our contents. And then fourth, you will see how to use our API. Before we proceed, if you are new here, be sure to subscribe and like if you haven't already for more videos. Alright, let's now jump in and get started. Now we will start by understanding the model structure of our application. What are models in Strapi? Models define the presentation of a data structure or schema, as we will see in the video. There are two types of models in Strapi. One is content type and the other one is components. The content type contains either of the following. One is a collection type or a single type. Okay? Also, we have to know that these models, when created, are stored differently. For instance, content types, when created, have the following model files. One is schema.json. This file is for the model schema definition, and it is automatically generated on creation of a content type. And these models are stored in source, API, then API name, and content type name. Then you can find our schema.json file. Components are stored in source components folder. Our model schema will contain the following. One, it will contain the settings such as content type of the model present and the table name. Then the second will be the information. This is used to display the model in the admin panel, and we can access it through a REST API. 3 contains attributes. This describes the data structure of our model. Okay, let's now head to our project and see how this model schema is laid out. Now here we have accessed our project locally in VS Code, and this is the structure of our application. Okay, so before we go to see our model schema layout, let's first understand our project structure. So this structure is for any project created in Strapi without the startup CLI command. In case you created your project with a start CLI, its structure will look differently from this one. It will include both a front end and a back end folder, like so. But now, since our Strapi project was created without a start CLI, our structure is as the following. So we have these different folders. Let's briefly go through them and see which folder is responsible for which. We will start with this catch folder. This includes the root files used to build the admin panel that we have right here. So whenever we build our project, we build this interface. Okay, Let's go back to our project, and we have the temp folder. This is where we find our database, and always is an SQLite database. Okay, so we'll look at how we can change this database to Postgres in the upcoming videos. Then we have the build folder. This is basically contains the admin panel. So don't get confused between the build and the cache. The cache folder contains files used to build the admin panel. And the build folder contains the build of the admin panel. We have the configuration. This one basically contains the API configuration. Yes, you have the API, you have the database, and here in the database where we have the local SQLite database. Okay, so we'll look at this in more details when we are converting, in the upcoming video, when we are converting SQLite to Postgres. This one contains npm packages used by the project. So all the packages that we install using npm. In the source folder, we see that we have 3 folders. 1 is admin, 2 is API, and 3 is extensions. Let's look at each of these. The admin folder is used for customization of the admin interface. Okay, we'll look at this in the upcoming video about customization of the admin panel also. We'll find out that in case we need to change the appearance of our admin, like change the logo, change the most of the descriptions here, like this Strapi dashboard, coloring, theme colors, and all that, we find that we can be able to do that inside this admin folder. Extension folder contains files that are used to extend installed plugins. We installed this plugin. It created the documentation for the email, uploads, user permissions. So all this documentation have been added into the extension folder. Okay, I hope you understand that. The API folder is the one that contains the business logic of the project, split into subfolders. Okay, so the business logic, like for example the methods that we have on our API, which are post, get, delete, and all that. When we navigate here, we access the, first of all, the API name that we want to access, which is the blog. Inside here we have the content type name. Inside the content type name is where we find the schema. These module schemas, when created, they are stored differently. The components are stored differently, and the content types are stored as you can see right here. I think with this we have looked at the structure of our project. So let's go ahead, and now we have our last file, which is package.json. What we need to understand here is that Strapi comes with scripts that can be used in managing the development server as well as the production server. And one of these scripts is the start. This will start the server for us in a production environment, which will load with auto reload disabled. So in other words, we want to be able to save changes or edit. Then the next one is the develop, Strapi develop. This script will start our server in a development mode with auto reload enabled, and basically this will watch for any changes in the project and restart the server if there is any changes. Alright, with that said, let's go to our API and see our model. So this is entirely the structure of our blogs model. So with this, we can then start creating contents using our content type that we created, which is blog. So let's go and see how we can add new entries to our app. All right, let's navigate to our dashboard. Let's go ahead and see how we can add contents to our API. And to do so, we need to head to Content Manager, then select the model type, which is the collection blog, and then it opens up this window and also an option to add new entries. So we will select or click on create new entry. Here what we need to do is to type in the first field the name of our favorite blog title. Okay, and here we can say, and then we can add an image right here by just selecting that, and then a dialog pops up, and then here you can browse for files on your PC. Okay, so here we can just simply add this as our image file and then upload. Okay, now one thing we need to know that when these files are uploaded, when you are working local on your machine, they are uploaded into the public folder. Okay, so for us to make this file accessible even when we host this to a hosting server, we need to change our upload directory. Click finish. Then here we can give a description. Alright, so that will be our description, and then we can click save. Okay, so our blog is saved successfully. When we go back, we see we have our blog listed right here. We can add still a new entry by just clicking on this create entry, and then we can add another one. When we click save, our blog is saved, so we can navigate back, and you see we have our images listed here. But if we can look closely, we find that the state is showing us that it is a draft. This means that even if we try to access our API, we won't be able to get these blogs. Let's try to do so. We can just go to a new tab and then just type in localhost. See that here we are specifying our API as blogs, not singular. So make sure whenever you are specifying your API name, it has to be in plural, not singular. Okay, note that. Okay, so when we try to we are presented with an error. So here we have an error that is returned. Why so? Let's see. So the reason why we are getting a file not found is because we have, first of all, we have not yet set permissions to our file. That's why we are having this error. So what we can do there is we go to, so after creating our content, we need to make our content to be publicly accessible through a REST API by setting the permissions and roles for our blog schema. To do so, we will first click on the settings tab at the bottom of our main menu navigation, which is right here. And then the second, we'll go under users and permission plugin and choose roles. We have to find the public tab and select that. So here we select the public option since we want our blogs to be accessible by anyone, not with authenticated user. So we click on that and we scroll down under the permission menu here and we find our blog name and we click on it, and then here options will be presented for us. So we'll first select find and find one. So this returns all the blogs and this one returns only each blog by ID. So if a user specifies an ID, then that blog for that ID will be returned. Alright, so let's save and see what we have. Let's refresh our API. Our API has returned, but then we have an empty array in data. Why so? If we go back to our content manager, we find that our content is not published, so it's still written as a draft. So whenever we create articles or content, they are saved as drafts. So until you publish them, they will still be drafts, and drafts are not accessible. Okay, so we click on edit and then we publish, and when we publish it, go back to our menu, refresh. Good, the second blog is printed right here. Okay, so this is how our API will be like. All right. Okay, now we are going to look at how we can use our API, and to do so we need to perform some testing on our API to see how we can get single blogs, and also how we can create new blogs using our API. Okay, we'll need to use some tools like API client tools. API client tools are used for testing APIs, like creating, sharing, and documenting of an API. An example of such tools, we have Postman, and we have Advanced REST API, tool, and many more. But in this video, I'm going to use advanced REST API tool for us to test our API. Alright, let's head to our tool and see how we can do that. Okay, right here I've opened my tool, and first of all we'll perform a GET request. So I'll perform localhost, and then we try to execute this. So if we run our API call to get all our blogs, we see that we have a success right here. So let's see if we can how we can get a single by ID. So we'll specify ID right here. So we'll do so by specifying 3 here. And if we specify this, you see that we get a single. Someone may be asking, how is this happening? Okay. Firstly, if we go back to our blog and go to our documentation, let's open up our Swag UI, and if we try to expand our blog, we see that we have a get method specified here. So this means that when we specify our API name, then the ID of our blog, we get the product of that ID. Okay, so that's why when we come back to this API, we specified the ID here 3, and we got the product here. All right, let's see how to add a new to our API. Okay, I'll just create a new request here and then copy this URL for the sake of time. Paste it here, and I'll remove that. So instead of using a post, instead of using a GET request, I'm going to turn this to a POST request. So this means we are going to send data to our API. Okay, so we have to specify headers, and we'll just say accept application JSON, and you can also specify the content type. Content type, and we also specify that as application JSON. Okay, all right, after doing so, then we can head to our body and specify our data. So since we are sending a JSON request, we will need a JSON object. We need to specify it as an array of data. Data object there, and inside here we can specify our title, which will be welcome to Strapi tutorials. Okay, that will be our title, and then we can specify our description. As you can say in this video we learn more about the fundamentals. Okay, fundamentals of Strapi Strapi project structure, like so. Okay, then let's try to post this and see what happens. Okay, so if I send this request to our API, good, we see that we get a 200, which is a success, and our data, our blog has been posted right here. So let's go to our blog and see if we have that. Good, you see we have our blog right here created. Okay, so with this we have successfully finished our video about the fundamentals of Strapi. I hope you learned, and if you find this video helpful, please share it. Otherwise, see you in our next video when we upload our application to a hosting service.